Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Heather. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids, elementary, middle, and high school age. Today I am going to be sharing my quarterly goals refresh with you. So let's get started. So we are at the end of March. I'm a little surprised. I can't believe that this year has been going as quickly as it has been going. February was really rough for me. It was a down month. Typically, I pride myself on not getting into that February homeschool slump, but we were definitely there this year, and it was a bit challenging. Part of it, I mentioned this in another video, I had stopped taking my vitamin D around Christmas. I don't know why. I just got out of the habit of taking it, and I know that that does help me quite a bit in the dark months of winter up here in Maine. And so I started taking that again, and we have had some warmer days, some days when we can be outside recently. Not many, because we are still randomly getting large snowstorms. That's kind of a bummer, but I sat down last week during our live stream in the Patreon community. Each week we have a co-working live stream or a Q&A, some sort of a live stream where I either answer questions or we're having like a silent co-working session. Silent in that we do work on our projects for a set number of minutes, and then we chat also in the chat, and people ask questions and whatnot. So last week I did work on my quarterly refresh. At first I thought I would do it at the end of February because I was really feeling the need to change up some things in my goals, but it didn't end up happening, and I'm actually pleased that it didn't. I think that I needed to get back on track with my mood and just getting back into a better rhythm of working on my goals each week. So last week I worked on my goals refresh, and today I'm going to share it with you. Now, in years past, when I have shared my quarterly refreshes, I have used the PowerSheets. And this year is the first year in 6 or 7 years that I am not using the PowerSheets. And part of that is because it is very, very slimmed down. A lot of people love that. I am such a chatty person, which you will know from my videos if you've ever watched any of my videos. And I have been using a Lloydstrom notebook instead. And I have written in how many pages now? 64 pages. I have 64 pages. It's a lined notebook just since the beginning of the year when I did my prep work and reflection from last year and all of that stuff. So instead of using this, because it is slimmed down quite a bit and it doesn't have these little mini action plans, which I have not filled out, but I hope to do that this week during our live stream, which I think when this video is going up was yesterday. I want to work on these. These are part of my quarterly refresh, but I have not done them yet. I've kind of done them in here though. So typically I will use the quarterly refresh. There is a cultivated life evaluation again, and then there is some keep moving forward list ideas. This one, where have you seen the most growth, which goals need more nourishment, what I'm saying no to this season and what I'm saying yes to this season, and then my refreshed goals, and then brainstorming for the month ahead with dot grid and just some blank pages. Now, I think this is the reason that I'm really not using this, because I need a little bit more structure. These were in the PowerSheets, in the 2021 PowerSheets, and that was my most successful year using the PowerSheets. This year they moved more towards funneling your goals through their cultivated life evaluation, those 8 categories, and I don't use those categories for anything but checking in with those particular categories. I don't write my goals through that lens, and that's totally fine. You can use whatever you want, whatever works best for you to write your goals. That's what is important, because obviously they are your goals. Whatever is going to motivate you to complete those goals is what will work best for you, obviously. So what I'm going to do is go through my quarterly refresh. And the way that I did this was I took my colored stickers and my goals that I have written out for 2023, and I wrote a few thoughts about what was going well and maybe some challenges, and then some areas that I wanted to focus on for the next quarter. So I'm going to go through that with you. Now, I do have my goals list right here. It's in this notebook as well, but I use this when I'm setting up my tending list each month in my Erin Condren Daily Duo. I'm using the dashboard pages at the beginning of the month to write out my tending list, as well as a few other things that I am tracking. And I haven't written out the goals, the mini goals for my focus areas for the next quarter, but I've kind of compiled them here, and I hope to put a little bit more detail, break them down just a bit more during my co-working live stream this week, so that it's a little bit easier when I'm figuring out April goals, which I have not done yet. My first goal is create and implement a clear home management system that allows me time to pursue my passions. And what this means is I want to not have to take care of so much stuff. So a lot of the focus for Q1 has been decluttering and really evaluating the things that I have in my home, what we need. Now, obviously, we are a family of 5, and so I can only focus on my own stuff. My kids, obviously I help them with their toys and their clothes, and I go through that stuff with them. My older 2 kids are really, I'm not going to make decisions for their stuff. I don't want to make decisions on what they should keep and what they shouldn't keep, but I am focusing on trying to help them see the amount of space that they have to store stuff. And then when that space is filled, they have to kind of remove things. And that's based on the container philosophy that I got from Decluttering at the Speed of Life through that book. I think it's Dana K. White is the author. And she talks about how your home is a container, and you only have as much space as your home allows. You know, you only have as much closet space or shelving space. So you can't have more books than you have shelves for, or you can't have more clothes than you have hangers for, or whatnot. So helping them understand the amount of space that they have and what is important to keep and what isn't. It's something that I can give them advice on, but I can't make that decision for them. Lucy is my hardest child to work on that stuff with because she's my youngest, and she doesn't have a ton of things. A lot of her stuff was handed down from Emma and Jack, and so she tends to hold tight to things like paper or things from church Sunday school or things that she creates at VBS or art that she makes, whereas my older 2 kids don't save as much of that stuff. So it's a little bit harder to manage with my youngest, but it's been my big focus for quarter 1. If you've watched, I've done several cleaning videos and decluttering videos, which I'll leave a link for in the description box if you want to see them. I have a lot of bigger things that I want to get rid of, some different furniture, and I've started to go through my books and really decided on getting rid of a lot of that stuff, things that I had been holding on to for a while. Some of the furniture stuff is actually stuff that we had planned to get rid of when we moved into this house at the beginning of 2020. But then everything with COVID hit and, you know, everything kind of shut down. We didn't buy the replacement stuff that we had hoped to get when we moved into this house because our priorities shifted. And we're just finally now, 3 years into living here, getting some of the projects that we had planned to do when we moved in. We moved in 2 weeks before everything shut down in the world. So we did not have a lot of time to do anything but just get into our house. So I think that I want to have a yard sale, which we've done 2 yard sales in the past, and it's so much work, and I don't know if it really is worth it, but I have so much stuff to get rid of. I feel like it's almost a disservice to my family if I just go and donate it all. And also a lot of it is really big stuff that I'm not sure we could even get to Goodwill or a donation center. So I don't want to just trash it because it's good quality stuff. Things like my books, a lot of the books that I have, I read them once and then I put them on my shelves, and they're great books and they are pretty much unused, but I'm not referring to them regularly, so I don't need to keep them on my shelves. And I've moved towards, most of my fiction reading is done on my Kindle, and I mainly just have reference books and resource books for my personal library, and then homeschool books, which I'm not getting rid of a lot of the homeschool books, but I have decided to get rid of some of the earlier levels, the preschool levels, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, that we are done with, saving my favorites and getting rid of what we don't want to keep anymore. The other thing that has been going really well is I print out a calendar each month with the kids' chores on them. They are always very helpful around the house. When I tell them to do something, they do it, and they do have their general chores that they just work on normally, like cleaning their rooms and making their beds and all of that stuff. But I wanted to include more basic home maintenance things in their days because we are all here. And so I printed out a calendar, and each day they have a different chore to work on, and it's things that are very easy for them to do and doesn't take a lot of time. The challenge is that I will sometimes have 5 minutes or 10 minutes in my day, and instead of working on something that only I can do, I do one of the kids' chores because they haven't done it yet. I don't have a set time during the day when they have to do those chores, and I think that's going to be something that I'm going to focus on maybe in Q2, is to have a particular time where everybody does whatever their chores are for the day. Instead of, Emma will take a break from homeschool and do her chore in the middle of the day. Jack will do his first thing in the morning. Lucy wants to do hers at night, and it shifts every day. I think if we make it into a habit at a particular time, it will be a little bit easier, and then I won't go to do those things when I have 5 or 10 minutes. I will spend my time on something different, which is what part of creating this home management system, part of that is really figuring out where I need to spend my time and where I don't need to spend time. I don't want to spend so much time cleaning and maintaining and homeschooling that I have no time for anything else that I want to do in my life. And it's very easy to get to that point. It's very easy to be constantly cleaning, constantly doing the dishes, constantly sweeping the floors, vacuuming, tidying up, and because we're home all the time. If my kids were at school, I feel like it would be a lot different, but because we are home and different parts of the day, different things are done. Sometimes we're doing art projects. Sometimes the art projects, I've always followed that project-based learning mentality of, if you're working on a big project, it's okay to leave it out because you spend so much time packing everything away that you lose focus on the project and you never come back to it. So it's more important for me to have my kids finishing their projects than it is necessarily to get everything tidied up at the end of the day. But at the end of the week, I want everything to be tidied up for the weekend. So figuring out the best system has been challenging. I was using this home management planner from Passionate Penny Pincher, which has a lot of great information and lists and ideas, but I have also shifted to kind of creating my own system, which I knew was what I needed to do. I was just kind of hoping that all of the lists in that planner would work for me, but either I'm too much of a rebel to follow a list as is and I just need to keep making changes, or I'm so set in my ways because I've been doing things a certain way for so long that the different lists, I'm picking and choosing the things that are most important to me and not utilizing them on the days that they have. So I think I'm figuring out new home management strategies, but it's been a little bit challenging because it's a lot of trial and error, which is totally fine. And I knew that that was going to be part of the process. So for Q2, my hope is to finish decluttering the house and to have that yard sale. I am not including the memory boxes and the homeschool bins in this decluttering. I have a lot of memory boxes in our basement, stuff from my childhood, my husband's childhood, my kids all growing up, and then also I have a bin of schoolwork for every year that we have been homeschooling, which is we're finishing our 12th year homeschooling. Now, part of the reason that I've kept all of that stuff is for memories. Part of it is because in Maine, we are required to make progress in the subject areas that they have listed that we need to cover in our homeschools. And while there isn't any real information on what you keep, I am always of the mindset to keep more than to keep less. I know a lot of my friends will just keep the subsequent year paperwork, which is a notice sent into the superintendent's office and the state stating you're going to continue homeschooling, as well as a letter from a Maine certified teacher who has done your teacher review and has said that you have made progress because you've gone over the work with that teacher. A lot of people will only keep that information, but I keep everything. And I need to really go through and figure out what are the things that are important for me to keep and what can I let go of. Like, probably could get rid of the elementary math books from Singapore that Emma has used since she's going into Algebra 2. She probably does not still need those workbooks. Same thing with Jack. So that's kind of not something I'm focusing on this quarter. Maybe I will get to it in June, but my main focus is to just get all of the stuff out of the house, hopefully have that yard sale or figure out how to use Facebook Marketplace. I'm kind of leery about online selling. I know, get with the times, but so I need to make a decision on the yard sale. I need to implement a time for the kids to work on their chores, which I discussed a little bit. Spring cleaning is another thing that I plan to focus on in the spring quarter, and then spring clean my homeschool. Spring cleaning for me is really that deep cleaning, washing the walls, doing all of the things that I'm not normally focusing on. And I felt like I really needed to get all of the decluttering done first. So I am at the tail end of the decluttering. However, the stuff is still in bags and bins in my house, but if I can get most of it into maybe the garage, then it will be a little bit easier for me to work on that stuff. So that is kind of where I'm at for my home management system goal. Man, I think I just talked for 15 minutes about that goal. This is going to be a long video. Okay, the next goal that I have is create and implement a slow money strategy in order to pay off debt and live a life I love. This has been going really well for me. I have moved into paper planning for financial planning. I created a binder. I'm using some printables from Dave Ramsey, some from the Budget Mom, some that I've created myself. I'm doing a lot of spend tracking and really drilling down on the needs of our household and homestead each month, based on, how much chicken feed do we go through? How many rolls of toilet paper are we using? How many rolls of paper towels? Is there a way for us to use more cloth in our home to cover, paper towel usage? We use a lot of cloth in our home. How much dog food are we using each month? Those types of things. It's very easy to just, when you need it, you buy it. When you need it, you buy it. But I was really interested in finding out exactly how much I'm spending on these things. How much are we spending on vitamins? How many random medical bills are we getting each month? So that I can budget better and so that I am making sure that I have room in the budget for the things that we need to get. Now, with that spend tracking, I wanted to reduce our spending specifically in the car area, which is really gas and unfortunately repairs for our old car, and then food, because those are really the only two places that I feel like we can change a lot of our spending habits and like eating out and entertainment type stuff. But it's really hard with inflation, and the cost of food is very high right now. So even when I'm really intentional about our spending and making sure that I'm making all of my food at home, not getting a bunch of takeout, all of that stuff, meal prep, food prep at the beginning of the week. So I'm utilizing everything instead of throwing away stuff. It's still really challenging, but I've been very encouraged with the spend tracking and figuring out how much I'm using in the different categories. It's been really interesting because I've always used a spreadsheet. I've been using a spreadsheet, the same spreadsheet essentially with some additional lines to it since 2002, I think. And then when I got married in 2005, I upgraded it a little bit, obviously, because my husband and I combined our finances, but and then again when we had kids, but I have been using the same spreadsheet for 20 years, just with some little tweaks here and there. And I needed to, when you are using something for so long like that, it's very easy to just check off, oh, I've got my bills paid and I'm, covering everything that I need to cover. So I'm not really concerned about it. I had gotten into that rhythm of just not really caring about the spending. Part of that was probably because we were at home and stuck in our house, and the only thing I could do was purchase things online if I needed them, and probably spent more than I needed to on certain areas, things that I didn't necessarily need. But everybody went through it, I feel like. So spend tracking has been going great. I'm really liking how I am planning, doing my monthly planning. I don't like using a binder. I wish that it was a coiled notebook, or something that I create, but I haven't figured out how to combine a bunch of different worksheets that I'm using in like one PDF file, because I don't think that that's really something you're able to do. So for Q2, the things that I am going to be focusing on: continuing my spend tracking habit, or being a little bit better about it. I am doing my spend tracking every month. I'm compiling all of that information. I'd like it to be more of a daily habit so that I'm not spending a good chunk of time each week or month, depending on the month, compiling all of that information. I do check in with my bank accounts regularly to make sure that I'm not overspending, but I want to physically write out that stuff, having a better habit of writing out all of that stuff. I want to write out all of the big purchases that are remaining for 2023. These are things that my husband and I randomly talk about doing, but then I don't really make a ton of progress on until we're like, oh, we just have to do it right now. So I want to have a better plan for that. And then also just to look and see where we can cut back. Summer is obviously a little bit easier for us to cut back food-wise because we have our garden, and our chickens are laying, well, they're always laying a ton of eggs. We could just eat eggs probably and we don't need to buy any protein. We have half a pig coming soon, so just managing our homesteading food stuff, we could probably cut back quite a bit this summer there, and just trying to put as much money into savings as possible. That's kind of where we are at. My next goal is continue to pursue my passions by cleaning up rhythms and routines and taking time for what I consider important. And that is really mainly focusing on my time blocking, how I plan my days, my AM routine, which has been kind of lackluster recently. I still do my main things every morning: reading my Bible, drinking my coffee, planning my day. Those are my basic 3 things that I do every morning, regardless of when I get up. But I wake up quite early, many days, especially in the summer when the sun is peeking out at 4:30 in the morning here in Maine. I just get up early, and sometimes I will waste that time. And it really is time that is my most productive time. If I sit down to write, my best writing happens in the morning. If I am focusing on any sort of creative endeavor, the best time for me to do that is early in the morning. It's just the time that works best for me. And so if I have 3 or 4 hours in the morning before my kids wake up, I don't want to spend my 45 minutes doing my normal coffee and Bible and planning, and then just waste the rest of that time, my most productive time, scrolling on Instagram or watching the news or whatever. So I have implemented some new things like reading more nonfiction in the morning because I haven't had as much time to read nonfiction. I always read nonfiction in actual books. I don't read nonfiction on my Kindle. That's mainly fiction reading that I do at night. but I don't want to read nonfiction before I'm going to bed. Research books, self-development, all of that type of stuff. So I'm trying to incorporate some of that into my mornings now, the past couple of weeks, and it's been going pretty well. I just need to have better systems in place so I'm utilizing my time well. I have been thinking a little bit about my kids' morning routine. I have never been one to wake up my kids. It's a benefit of homeschooling that they can sleep in. Now, part of the reason is because when my kids were little, they woke up insanely early. And it's part of the reason that I wake up so early now, because I went through a phase when Emma was 2 and Jack was an infant, and I just was so overwhelmed having 2 kids. And I joined a group called Hello Mornings, where we would get up and have time in the Word, have some planning time and getting ready for the day before the kids woke up. And so I started very early on, you know, waking up 5 or 10 minutes before my kids would wake up. And they were always really early risers, like 5 a.m. and not able to go back to bed. They're just naturally morning people. So now when my kids are older and they sleep in until 8 or 9 o'clock, especially my teenagers, I feel like I want them to be able to sleep in. They need the sleep. It's okay. We can adjust our day. But if I'm waking up at 4:30 in the morning and they're not coming down until 9:30 and I have 5 hours of time, it's very easy for me to be like, what should I do? I don't know what to do. I've got all this time. So I either need to come up with, okay, we're going to start school at 10 regardless, not 8, because that's too early. I do try to get things going by 9, but when my kids sleep in, I don't wake them up. So I need to make a decision about that. I don't need to make it right now because we're at the tail end of our homeschool year. So that'll be something that we'll consider for when we start new curriculum in July. But it is something that I need to think about now if I want to implement some of those routines in our house and in my rhythm. Another thing that I want to do in Q2 is create a morning basket and an order of nonfiction books to read. I've been thinking about kind of looping that, similar to homeschool looping schedule, where you have a set amount of time and you work through the books in order, and then when the time is done, you move on to the next thing, and the next day you start with the next book instead of starting with the first book again. So there are several books that I'm trying to get through. It's hard for me to read a lot of books at once. I am one of those people that just wants to read through a full book, but there are so many good books that I want to read in the morning that I need to manage that. One of them is Church History in Plain Language, a couple of prayer books that I'm working through, Praying for Your Husband and Praying for Your Kids, and then just some personal development books. I have a homeschool book that I'm reading through right now, the Teenage Liberation Handbook by Grace Llewellyn, I think is the author's name. That's really good. So I'm working through all of these books and they're really important to me, but I just need a morning basket, I think, for myself. I want to continue to prioritize fiction reading at night. It's the best thing for me to wind down my day. I read on my Kindle Paperwhite at night. Every night I have a subscription to Kindle Unlimited, so that's where I tend to get the majority of my books. And I love it. I think I've been reading for like 400 days straight right now. So it's probably longer than that actually. I want to continue having conversations daily with my kids about their passions, about life, about things that they are interested in, things that they're concerned about, current events. We have been having some amazing conversations lately, and I want to continue that. I don't ever want them to think that they are bothering me, coming to me with that information. I always want an open line of communication with them. It's a benefit of homeschooling to be able to have all of these conversations all of the time. And it's a lot of fun too. My kids are really bright, and it's really interesting to hear their thoughts about different things and to hear some different perspectives, which it's really, I really enjoy it. It's something that I want to continue cultivating. And then again, working on AM productivity. Don't just scroll or watch the news. That's kind of my thing, because that's my default. When I don't have a list of things that I need to work on, I default to just watching the news. Well, I'm not sure when the kids are going to wake up, and it's 8:30 right now, so I'll just watch CNBC. So I don't want to do that. My next goal is create a home where learning is valued and passions are pursued. And I wrote that the kids have been doing great completing their work. The lists continue to be the best strategy for everyone, as well as our Monday meeting. The lists are, I create a list each week of all of the work that I expect my kids to do during the week. And I just put it on a weekly, it's like a weekly planning pad from Erin Condren. They have all kinds of different options for these, and I've used all of them. And then Lucy has the kids checklist, which you can get pre-printed with a list of things, as well as write in your own things on the list. We love it. I've used those for Emma and Jack so many years ago when I first found Erin Condren, I think in 2013 or 2014. Our screen-free days are going really well. I like having a screen-free day. It's been Friday lately, and so it's kind of like a screen-free day until about 5:30, and then we usually have family movie night. But our screen-free days, I've mentioned this in a few different places. It's even a screen-free day from our digital learning, and a lot of the kids' passion projects are on the computer coding and animation and those types of things. So we just take a full stop break from technology on our screen-free day. I print out their math lessons. We spend a lot of time on reading. In fact, last Friday, the kids read for about 3 hours, and then everybody took a nap, which nobody ever naps in my house. I was working on cleaning and doing some reorganizing and going through our downstairs hall closet and first aid supplies and stuff. And I was listening to an audiobook on my headphones, and then I turned around and I was like, man, why is it so quiet? Well, Emma was asleep on the couch with her geometry on her face. Lucy had made herself like a little den full of blankets in one of those Rubbermaid containers in front of our fireplace or our wood stove. And then Jack was upstairs sleeping in his bed. So it was like 12:30. It's like, what is everybody doing right now? And they were all sleeping. And then Jack's mealworms came in the afternoon, and they spent the afternoon creating a mealworm habitat. So that was quite good. And I am going to continue doing our screen-free days right through the spring. We may adjust it some once our new homeschool year starts, but that is a completely different video, part of my homeschool planning. The other great thing that has been working this past quarter is having a focus on passion projects, and that ties into our daily conversations with the kids, really just making sure that I am on top of what they are interested in, so that I'm finding the resources that they need and helping to facilitate some of their projects. Right now, Emma is in the process of creating a digital portfolio for her illustrations and her animation. She's thinking about creating a business and working through a lot of that information. It's challenging for her to just do on her own, so I'm helping her a lot with that. Having that constant communication about their progress and the processes that they are following in order to fulfill some of these passions has been really, really good. So for quarter two, we are going to finish our 2022-2023 homeschool year. That is number one. I want to spring clean my homeschool, which is also part of my create and implement a home management strategy goal. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 type of thing. And that is partly because I am going to be able to pack up a lot of the middle grade homeschool curriculum that we have this year, because Jack's going into high school level courses, Emma is all in on high school level, and Lucy still has a few years of elementary school before we get to the middle school level resources that I have. So I can box those up, and I think that's going to help my anxiety about the number of books that we have and keeping things organized. Plus, I just need to go through and make sure that I have everything that I need for next year and order what I don't have that I need to get. buying new resources, and then enjoying our well-deserved break. We have worked really hard this year. First semester was a challenge because Emma was involved in a lot of public school stuff, and it was just our schedule was go, 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 go. And that's kind of hard for us to be on somebody else's schedule all the time. We're not huge fans of that. So second semester has been going much better, but we all deserve a break. I'm looking forward to a break. My next goal is continue to deepen my faith by reading the Bible chronologically. I started out the year using Eden to Eternity Bible study from Daily Grace Co., and I really, really like it a lot. I was doing a great job in January, reading and reflecting every day, answering the questions in my Bible notebook, and I like the study quite a bit. Now, a caveat, I did start with the New Testament because I have read through the Old Testament chronologically multiple times, but I've only read through the New Testament chronologically I think maybe 2 times, and I really wanted to start with the New Testament this year. So I did start that. It was going really well in January, but then when my AM routine kind of fizzled out in February due to just the dark, dark days of winter just really were getting to me, and I was just getting up and drinking coffee and watching the news. I just threw out my whole AM routine pretty much in February. My Bible study time also went out the window. I wasn't reading my Bible as much, or I would read it a little bit, but I wouldn't take the time for the questions. And so in March, I've been getting back into a better rhythm of that, and this also relates to cleaning up my rhythms and routines. I haven't gotten back into a good Bible study time, and I'm not sure that I want my in-depth Bible study to be first thing in the morning. I do want to continue reading my Bible first thing in the morning, and I have been. I use the Bible app, and I'm using the 1-year chronological Bible study plan on the Bible app, and that is working out great, and I like how easy it is. I don't have to keep flipping back and forth because it's 12 or 14 places that you're flipping back and forth each day. So it's a little bit easier to do that on my phone, on the app, instead of in my actual Bible. But I would like to get back to those guides because I think they're very valuable. However, some of the questions are kind of just, they're not the right questions for me. They are good questions, but sometimes I think that I just need to do my own study and, using like the SOAP method or whatever. So I want to catch up because I'm a few weeks behind on reading and start Bible journaling again. My next goal is to grow the Townsend House community, and I've made a lot of progress on that in the first quarter. I started my Patreon group, which I have been thinking about, I think, for 2 years now. I've been wanting to start some sort of a membership community, but did not know how to do that in the most cost-effective way because I did not want to build out a whole new website. I already have a website, and trying to manage a membership site on my current website wasn't really going to work with what I needed it to do. So I did start a Patreon. It's so wonderful. I love being in that community. We have daily check-ins. There's a couple of different levels. One is daily check-ins with me, constant communication, that kind of stuff. And then the higher level is the weekly live streams, the Q&As, the live Q&As, a lot of exclusive content. We've been working through time inventories, managing rhythms, creating systems, a lot of homeschool planning, how to manage attitudes of your kids, all of that kind of stuff. We're only, a couple of months into this community. I think it's really strong. I would love for you to join us if you are interested. I have my Patreon link in the description box. I would love to have you join us and join in that community. It's been really wonderful for me. For quarter 2, I want to work on some exclusive content for my Patreon community. I need to manage my content calendar and get into a better rhythm of batching some content. And I want to also get back into a better writing rhythm on my website, as well as continue to update old blog posts because I have been writing at Townsend House since 2011. And I have like so much content on there, and it's not as well organized as it could be, but it is slow and steady because I think I have almost 2,000 blog posts. It's so much, so many words. My next goal is create community and support the relationships we already have as a family. This one is just okay because I did feel so off in February. I wasn't as good about checking in with friends and texting people. That all of my kids' relationships with their friends are still going strong, and we're still, getting together with friends periodically. I want to be better about keeping in touch with people because it's very easy for me to get lost in my own day-to-day stuff, especially as a homeschooler. I spend an enormous amount of time during the day homeschooling, and then I kind of bookend my day with some projects, some work stuff, some cleaning, and regular family management, home maintenance stuff. So I don't have a ton of time. People do kind of think that you have a ton of time because you're home, but my time gets taken up by other things, and then my days slip away, and I feel like I'm working 3 full-time jobs sometimes. So I need to be better about keeping in touch with people and keeping track of things, all of that kind of stuff. I'd also like to do a monthly get together with our friends. It's something that I try to do anyways in the winter. We had some sledding parties, we've had some sleepovers, we've had, some family visiting, but it is kind of hard to do that in the winter months because everybody is kind of just like over snow and cold. And doesn't really want to do anything. That's kind of where we are, but it's better in the summer. So I'm hoping to do more like barbecues and fire pits and all of that stuff as the weather gets warmer. And then for my last goal is legacy, which I really haven't done anything with this goal yet. I did think about it quite a bit during Q1, trying to figure out a way. At first I thought I was going to work a lot of this legacy stuff that I want to do, things like sorting my pictures, things like ordering pictures, taking a picture every day of the kids, writing letters to my kids in the journals that I have for them, doing my 1 line a day notebook, talking to my mom about her memories from her childhood and growing up and all of the things that she has inside of her, getting all of that information compiled for my family. I thought I would be able to do a lot of that stuff with a PM routine, but I've come to realize that a PM routine for me is really just how can I relax and renew myself and get ready for the next day. And most of that is getting my stuff ready for the morning and then reading at night. I don't have a lot of bandwidth in my brain to do too much else at night, and so I need to figure out a different time to work on some of these legacy type things. I'm hoping in Q2 to start working on my memory bins, and because they are literally just bins of pictures and memory things and burp cloths and baby outfits and ultrasound pictures and all of that kind of stuff. I don't have any baby books for any of my kids. I do have planners with a lot of information and notebooks and journals and such, but I don't have any baby books for them. But I want to start to work on the memory bins and then also start a picture sorting habit for new pictures that I'm taking every day. Because when you take a picture with your phone, you take 20 pictures, but you really only need one of them. So why am I keeping all 20? I should immediately delete the 19 that I don't need. And so I need to figure out a time when I can do that it doesn't take a lot of time, but 5 minutes, but I just need to figure out a part of the day that would work for me. And I haven't figured that out, but it is on my list for Q2. So that is my quarterly refresh. I have gone through and written out my Q2 ideas, which I already went over with you. I'm going to take those ideas and flesh them out a little bit more on these little mini goal action plans that I got off of Goal School, which I still have access to since I purchased the PowerSheets for this year. Essentially, it's just writing a mini goal and then some action steps for that mini goal and when you're going to do those action steps. So that is my next step for my quarterly refresh, but I'm actually going to work on this in addition to my April goals during my live stream. So that is my quarterly refresh. And actually, I feel pretty good about how things are going from quarter one. February was rough, but I feel like in March I got right back on track, and I'm feeling really good about going into quarter two. I'm going to have a lot more time to focus on things because we'll wrap up our homeschool year and there won't really be too much homeschool related stuff that I need to do day to day. It's more planning for next year and just staying in contact with my kids about what they are working on for their passion projects, as well as getting my teacher reviews ready for 2022-2023. But overall, I am pleased with how things have been going, and I'm really liking using this Leuchtturm notebook for my goal planning because it gives me plenty of space to write, and it's lined so that I don't feel like I'm too messy, although it's pretty messy. I would love to hear what you are planning on working on for quarter two. If you feel like quarter one was a good quarter for you, if you got a lot of progress on some of your goals. If you haven't set any goals for the year yet, that's totally okay. You can start now. There's nothing that states you have to wait until January 1st to start improving on areas of your life. Just sit down and write down a couple of ideas of things that you want to work on in the month ahead. And that's really the first step. You know, you don't have to have these huge lofty goals with 100 different action steps. It can be one very small thing. And then once you've completed that small thing, you move to the next small thing, and you just keep going that way. And eventually it will snowball, and you will see that you've made a lot of progress in different areas of your life. So if you do have questions for me, please leave them in the comments, or you can email me. My contact form is always in the description box. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye.